Welcome everyone once again to this session on successful implementation of Teach to Reach projects to improve. So let's go ahead and get started. Just a few ground rules to begin with. You may be familiar with these from previous sessions from yesterday, but a quick review. Please do your best to participate actively and ask questions in the chat. Feel free to, again, mention where you are typing in from. And do not click on the Ask to Share Audio and Video blue button unless you are explicitly invited by the speakers to join the panel. Alternatively, if you have a Teach to Reach project to share that you've successfully implemented, you can feel free to ask to share audio and video as long as you also make that clear in the chat so that we can confirm and let you in. We have a few Teach to Reach scholars who originally were planned to present their specific stories at this session, but as Ian has mentioned, and as we've seen, there are already many of you here who have great projects to share, and we are eager to make sure that this is a platform for you. Again, you will have these links to download and view all speaker slides later on, and as well as the rapporteur notes. All right, and our original scholars would have been Emmanuel Audu Musa and Muhammad Oranian. And of course, any of you who are able to share your stories. So these are our guiding questions for today. Let's hand it over to Chika. And yes, feel free to share your story and make sure to include any pertinent information on lessons learned and the context surrounding your story, as you can all see on the screen. So, Chika.
Okay, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so my story goes like this. I have an organization called Vaccine Network for Disease Control. I'm the founder, and what we do is we create awareness on immunization in communities, and our strategy is to adopt communities. That's our strategy. However, in one of our communities, can you hear me? Okay. In one of our communities, we noticed that because of the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, immunization access to the health center was almost stalled because people were afraid to go to the health center to access immunization. They were afraid of getting the virus. So we went as usual to teach them about RCCE, risk communication and community engagement. But unfortunately, by the time we got there to see the community headship, the youth stopped us from entering the community. They stated clearly that whenever we came to the community, we were more interested in discussing with the community headship and that they were not put in the mix. And that affected our awareness creation program that we wanted to do. So after that, we came and did the Teach to Reach. And after the Teach to Reach, we gained a lot of knowledge in my organization. Because two of us attended that program. And then we discovered that what we did was that we did not include everybody in any engagement that we did in the community. And some of the solutions were not homegrown. So what we did this time around was to include everybody in the community, from the youth leader to the community leader, from the community leader to the women leader. And that was my approach in the Teach to Reach project. And this time around, when we did that, we got everything that we wanted because first and foremost, the youths were now involved in developing solutions to create awareness concerning immunization, and at the same time, accessing the health center using the COVID-19 protocols, and at the same time, how to engage in the community and minimize risk of catching the COVID-19. And then after we had the conversation, everybody put in their ideas. It was not clear, trust was restored. And then immediately everything just became very simple. It was amazing how everything just turned around. Everything became very simple. The youth apologized to us and told us because they were not carried along. They felt that they didn't have anything to add. They felt that whatever intervention that we were doing was basically for the chief, for the other gateways within the community. So it was an eye-opener for us. An all-inclusive approach is the best thing. The most important thing in any community is trust. And to build that trust, there must be transparency. And once there's transparency and accountability, everything happens easily. Then for us, the shocker of it all, the surprise for us was that we also included persons living with disability and the elderly. And then when we were developing our risk communication strategy with the community members, we actually forgot about the private school. We were talking more about risk communication in government schools. It was the elderly that brought our attention to the fact that you've forgotten the private schools. You have to also send this risk communication strategy to private schools. So the solutions that were developed was not developed by Vaccine Network. It was developed by all of us who were in the community, from those living with disability to women, to the women, to the youth. So it was a very happy session. And at the end of the day, not only did the community start to access immunization, they started accessing other health services like family planning. And I can tell you it is not easy because it's a serious Hausa community who do not believe in family planning. I mean, it was just amazing. So the lessons learned there is trust is very critical. It's only trust that can make someone listen to what you have to say. So I think that is where I draw my curtain.
Thank you so much, Chika, for that story. Yes, that was amazing. Transparency is so important, and trust. I'm going to hand this over to Susanna, who I believe, Susanna, now your audio works, so I'll let you take it from here as moderator. Great.
Yeah, hello, everyone. Please, can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you.
That was a nice story, Chika. I also know more about these Hausa communities, and honestly, it's true. It's very good you were able to enjoy the Teach to Reach. If I may ask, did you join the Teach to Reach level 1 and level 2?
Yes, I did. I joined the Teach to Reach level 1 and level 2. And that was my strategy, to include intentional inclusion of youths and women as gateways to stop hesitancy.
Okay. So those, you said you also were able to meet these disabled ones. Which of the disabled ones? The blind, the deaf, or the lame?
The lame. Because they had a representative. All of them had representatives. Like, we didn't meet all of them. What we did was to meet their representatives. The representative of the youth leader, the leader for the physically challenged, the leader for the elderly. So that's what we did. Even different leaders from different, because the community is a mixed community, a community of Igbos, Yorubas, Hausa, one of these slums in Abuja. You know, so we also met the leaders of the Igbos, the Hausa, the Yorubas, and that's what made the difference.
Good. So the lesson you learned was developing trust in the community, meeting people. Yeah, trust is really
important. And an all-inclusive approach. So not just the community leaders, the religious leader, the teachers, you know, everybody must be represented, and it must be a homegrown solution that they also help to design and implement.
Okay. That's nice.
Thank you.
So, does anybody have any question for Chika? You can type it in the chat.
Susanna, I noticed that Amal Al-Tahar asks Chika which group was more helpful for your
project. I saw a question to ask about the community. The community is a Hausa community in FC, an urban slum.
So Amel is asking, which of the group was helpful in your project? Was it the teachers, religious leaders, or the youth?
The traditional ruler was the most helpful in the project because it was the one that was able to gather the headship of all these other groups. So he was one that called, because he was one that had the capacity and the power that they would listen to, that was able to gather all the groups together. But we had to request for those groups before the groups came. And then the thing, what happened was that after that, the youth felt so bad when they discovered that everything was transparent. They even apologized for the things that they did. And then now everything works beautifully.
Okay. Okay. Maruf is saying that if you had been in Niger Delta, it wouldn't have worked. So it's good you were in Abuja. Now it works there.
No, it also worked in Niger Delta because I'm also in Warri in Niger Delta, and we did the same thing in Niger Delta, and it worked. In fact, Niger Delta is the easiest for us. The reason why I mentioned this particular community, because the hostile community and is hostile and they just don't want immunization. Our community in Warri South, Niger Delta, they don't even give us any problem. Because we also work in Niger Delta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's nice. It's good to hear. It's good to hear because we from other countries, we hear a whole lot of vaccine hesitancy in Nigeria, especially within the Hausa, the Igbos. So it's good to hear that you were able to implement what you need to reach.
Yes, and then there's a community that we adopted more than 5 years ago. So they know us. So it's very important. I think the critical point here is trust. When they trust you, no matter the community, whether it's Hausa, Fulani, whatever, once there's a trust component in it, and then the community is included from design to implementation, I don't think there will be any problem. That is what has helped us. The youths wanted us out of the community because we didn't carry them along. Everybody felt that they were too young, you know. But by the time they were included, they became a force that is even working, because after all, they are the new parents of tomorrow. They are the new people that will have children, that will need their children to access immunization.
Okay. Chika,
yeah.
Yesunesh is asking that, was this project implemented amid COVID-19 pandemic?
Yes.
Did you implement your project during this COVID-19 pandemic?
Yes. It was implemented between July and August, July and September, yeah. After our Teach to Reach projects. Because before that, it's a community that we had worked with previously, and we're always advocating to them concerning immunization. But this time around, when we came to add the component of risk communication and community engagement and immunization, because immunization, the data for immunization, demand for immunization reduced. People were afraid, you know. Before that, they were going, but after, when the pandemic started, it stopped. Hesitancy became worse. So we had to now go back because of the COVID-19. So this particular one is during the COVID-19 period.
So do you think that the impact of COVID-19 on human life, people dying and people getting sick, they seeing their family members dying, they seeing their family members getting sick, do you think that also became a factor in prompting them to take more seriously the vaccination and then their healthcare?
Ironically, in that community we're talking about 10,000 of them, many people did not die from COVID-19 issues. More deaths were from things, water issues, issues that has to do with nutrition and all that. So for them, they were afraid at first because of the kind of information that was coming out concerning the coronavirus. There's so much information diarrhea, you know, so that made people afraid to go for immunization. You know, even my community volunteer, the leader of our community, we have a community volunteer that died recently, but he didn't die from COVID-19, he died from diabetes. So these were the kind of illnesses that they had, you know. But they stopped going for immunization because everybody was afraid. Nobody was sure. You know, at the beginning, nobody was sure where the coronavirus was taking everybody. There's so many information concerning, was it good, drink this, take that, this. So that was why there was that vaccine hesitancy. And then even in the health center as well, you know, even the health workers were also afraid. At the beginning, everybody was afraid. So it affected the whole immunization process, the demand especially.
Abraham Amadi says that, thanks, Pika, for your approach, it yielded positive results. Score the importance of active community engagement, including all subgroups, is key for the acceptance of any health intervention. So yeah, we are all learning that is community entry. We have to take good care of it. We have to pay more attention to how we enter a community and start talking to people that we are here, we want to vaccinate you because this is that. We have to know the cascade. We have to go from the chief or the community leader, then other influential leaders like the religious leaders who are there, those who organize the youth. That also helps because they listen to them, they know more about them than us who are also entering the community. Thank you very much, Chika.
Thank you.
So,
thank you very much.
Please, does anybody have a question for Chika, or does anybody want to say anything to Chika?
If I may, Susanna, I think we have 20 minutes
I just want to
left
add
in the
that
session. I think it'd be very good if we could
key point for
move on
me
now
is
to
you can't give
Emmanuel
up,
Musa,
because when you're trying to enter a community, you meet
Dr.
a lot of
Rajagopal
challenges.
have all offered
But
to
when you're
share their
focused on the
stories.
goal and you don't give
So
up,
I think it
and
would be
then
good
you
if we could
develop
hear
a
at least from
strategy of
two of
adopting
them
and making the
in
community
the
see you
remaining
as one of
20
their
minutes.
own, then your job will be made easy. It's a community we've been in for over 5 years. We've carried their children to the health center regularly, even before they built a health center within the community. We used to support them, we empowered their women. They saw us as part of them, so it was easy to convince them. You know, it was very, very, and then with the Teach to Reach, it helped, made matters easy, made us more strategic in our approach, you know. So I think Teach to Reach really did the work, because I learned a lot from the innovation hub, you know, the ideas engine, you know. So a lot of my strategies.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will learn a lot from you.
Yes.
Mr. Emmanuel. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Welcome.
I can hear you. Yeah, thank you very much, Susan.
Okay. So may we know more about you, and then if you can go through the questions and answer them to help us, how you implemented your Teach to Reach project and how it yielded response.
Okay. Whatever the time is, this is good evening from here in Nigeria, and my name is Emmanuel Musa from Kaduna, Nigeria. Now, I will try my possible best to probably say a word or two in the next 5 minutes, and I'm sure I should be done with my questions and answers. The first one is, who are you and where do you work? My name is Emmanuel Musa. I'm here in Kaduna State, an alumni of Teach to Reach, level 1. I'm an alumni of Adoptive Leadership, alumni of Care Hub, level 1 and 2, so on and on. Of the Geneva Learning Foundation, and I'm sure Carol, can you hear me? I have gained so much from learning here. Now, what was your training implemented from Teach to Reach? Yeah, when the Teach to Reach came up, there was actually a rubric that we're trying to follow, and which into so many chapters. It's talking about the part, which is talking about it's talking about then you talk about your context, and you talk about the funding, and you're talking about the learning objectives. The problem, if you follow through the rubric, it gives you a clear context of what you should be able to share as a story, and it's going to give you what you should be able to achieve during your training sessions. At this digital learning, the moment you click onto this rubric, the rubric is actually a guide for it to tell you these are the specific formats for you to make a training, let it be more successful. So I'm going to start right from the, normally when you have a founder, he has given you funds for training, then you equally have to justify what you have actually done. Now, what did I implement? Yeah, I implemented about priorities. Normally when you have trainings, at every level, probably at the state level or at the district level, which is called the local government level. We have a lot of what we call competing priorities. So there, when there's training, you find out another agency or another partner which is equally coming in equally to bring another different activity, which actually disrupts training at those levels. So which makes it more and more very, it's making it not peers and learners and participants to concentrate, because they need to shuttle between one training to the other. But you could be able to see with this digital learning, the issue of bringing in peers so that they have issues of clashes of training that cannot even arise, because you are not looking at digital learning, you are looking of learning within a digital space, either mobile or whether in all devices, whichever it is, you are now trying to. So these competing priorities have actually been one of those distractions, or we call them challenges, when it comes to the issue of training. Now, what was your role? Fine. At that moment when I was there, I was working at a district level as a facilitator. You know, when you go in under the WHO, that was when I facilitated activities for the WHO. And you know, definitely it has always been a core function of the WHO to train. So I have actually been on the front then, training participants at those levels, probably in either surveillance or immunization, community engagement, whatever it is. So that was just my role then. And then how did the training go? Yeah, obviously the training has to go, you know, when you have that synergy, you know, definitely when you are there in the district level, at the state level, there should be a synergy between all partners or between all organizations, so that training should be harmonized, and let them equally see that, you know, or some of the training should be shifted, because that's when you now what we call planning meeting. You plan, and then everybody brings whatever thing he has. You know, if the training are conflicting now, if they're it's almost the same thing, fine, you can do it together. But if it is not, then one training has to be segregated, given time, so that you do another training. Yeah, but then despite that, you still equally have its own kind of challenges. So these were the challenges we keep encountering then, you know, during the training. When I was actually last year, when I did my Teach to Reach level 1 certification. Now who helped you? Yeah, obviously, you know, when you are working, you have consultants, you have supervisors, you have people at the state. Some of them are state coordinators, some of them are at the ministry level. You know, so they come in to supervise activities that you do at all fora, at all levels, be it even at the health facility level, be it at the state, or be it at the district level. So you have supervisor, and obviously there's a checklist that normally you fill in during when you do this training. You know, so the training is actually it's instant, which is done, and the open data key, which is called the ODK. You know, it is you do it immediately, because so that you send and then reports are sent. So wherever those areas are, and then the score of those of the checklist on the ODK, if it is not actually in line, if you score below an average score, obviously that training has to be done. So you have those bosses that once in a while, when you have those kind of trainings, you report to them, and then you have supervisors equally who come in to supervise the kind of training you are doing. That was when the physical training was done. And I'm giving you a story based on before the COVID-19. So that was where we have the physical training, not the virtual training. So this is what it has helped me to do. Now, how did you apply what you have learned to the Teach level 1 and level 2? Yeah, just like what I have equally enumerated in the first and the second time of my explanation. I tried my best to apply this training at all levels. One, you need to guide, that is what you are after. You need to train really to the core for people to understand what you are doing. And then when you bring out the context in your training, you bring out your learning activities, and then you bring out your action grid, then the action grid, which is equally the recommendation. So in every training, you equally give a feedback. You give a feedback. You know, there's an evaluation at all levels. Participants evaluate you, then you have the people who are equally evaluating it based on those trainings. Now, so these are all the whole level. This is how I did apply my training needs then at those levels. So So what surprises me is that despite those training, we're still having a lot of loopholes. There are still gaps in training, and then you train and you keep training and you keep training, but yet you still find people are still left behind on the issue of training. So that's when you need to do one-on-one training. So that's the issue. So it surprises me again than after this, then you are still having other organizations and people are equally running from one aspect because of the little gains they have even in training. They shift from one training to the other. Yeah, leaving this one, which is not actually, is a priority and they are used to it, is the same system. So let's not have a shift to the other kind of training. So you keep having this one. So these are all the surprises. So what are the lessons that you have learned? I've learned, one, to be consistent when it comes to training. I've learned now that the COVID-19, which came in the pandemic, that there are restrictions on how you train. Now, training before and now are two different things, because you need to train now given space, you need to train virtually, you need to train with devices, you need to train with internet connectivity. Some will tell you they don't even have data for you to train. Some because of distraction, one will just leave his phone on the training and then he goes away because he feels that yes, his contact is there and you are seeing it, but physically he's not there, so you can't see him. So these are some of those lessons that we equally have to learn. But then, whether we like it or not, the virtual training has to come and extend. And then Geneva Learning is actually bringing us on board to see how we can make a paradigm shift on how we look at training. And it has to equally yield a lot of results. So there should be a deeper learning now in the training on how we conduct our training. Now, training is not all about now. You need to go in to make so many research. You need to research on your own. Nobody is there to tell you. You need to go so many. You need to have so many peers to help you to learn. I'm sure with this, let me not take the whole time, but I will equally be ready to answer questions when there are answer a lot of questions if there's more time. Thank you. Let me just stop there. Thank you
so much. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. That is very good. How did Teach to Reach level 1 and level 2, how did it help you in implementing your project? How specifically, how did it help you?
Yeah, I'm still going back to what I've actually said earlier on. Teach to Reach have, obviously it teaches you how to who to meet, when to meet, and on which time to meet. Actually, it is so, but then after a deeper insight on the Teach to Reach learning, you are told on we have did that in our doctorate in leadership, in one of the leadership courses I did. So you need to look at who are you meeting? What are your functions? Who are your key functions to meet? I hope you're getting it. Now you have a challenge. You are not just, the challenge may be generic, but then in trying to resolve the issue, you have so many functions. So what are those functions that you're meeting? Personally, is that you? Is it peers? Is it the authority? Is it the political? So the Teach to Reach has actually enabled me to understand who to meet at the right place at the right time, so that this training should be able to be conducted in the right time. So let's take, for instance, what I was telling you during those competing priorities. We understand the competing priorities. Some of them are coming in from the state or from the region. It is just they are sent to come for training. They don't even know that there was a synergy that another training is ongoing. So now I'm supposed to meet the real people at the state to tell them, look, this is the kind of person. Probably then I was working with the debate. I can tell my closer consultant, talk to my state coordinator. Okay, I have conflicting traits here. So you see, the Teach to Reach has made me understand how to segregate, how to resolve issues individually, based on how they presented the problems are coming up. That's just my answer. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you very much. It's interesting, your project and how. So Now that we are in COVID-19, that we can't do a face-to-face, how do you plan implementing that project? You were talking about challenges with people who are not having good network, and then there are people who even join and leave their phones somewhere and go and do another thing. How then do you
Yeah,
think we can implement this your project during this
yeah,
COVID-19 era?
yeah. This is one of the actually key things that we need to look at. Now, it has actually been a challenge, but then those challenges are surmountable because just like what you are looking at the training, you must equally have a way to checkmate those how the trainings are being done. So there should be checklists on how people should respond immediately. You know, there should be time in, time bound. And you know that initially the training should be maybe more than 20, 30, 40, 50, up to 70 people within a training setup in a training setting. But now with the virtual training, you know, obviously you are having a limited number and then everybody connects within a single time. So yes, those problems, some of them will be there, but then it is lesser because you can be able to resolve this. It's an issue of checking, and then you can call. You can have a monitoring system of how to checkmate how are these things how those activities are done. I'm sure I've answered that. Yeah, but
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you. So it's true what you said. We have to identify who to meet and at the right place at the right time. Tiffany says that. That is right. So thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. I don't think there is anybody asking any question here in. Anu Rotimi says that, Dr. Musa, thank you for aligning the different components of the Teach to Reach with the adaptive leadership. That is it. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. We wish you well. And we hope that the next time we meet, you will be telling us how you implemented it during this COVID-19 era. Okay. So thank you, Mr. Musa. Dr. Rajat, please, can you unmute?
Yeah.
Hello.
Thank you. Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you very clearly.
So thank you. I'm Dr. Rajat Garg from India, and just coming to the point as time is very less. So what was the training that I was implementing? My team was implementing the RISE project in India when I was taking the Teach to Reach level 1 training. And this project RISE is basically, you can say it's a blended learning project. There is an app. There are animated videos for the training of health workers, which are delivered through an app. So in simple, RISE, the health workers have got the RISE app on their, they can install the RISE app on their mobile. And through that app, they can take the training, which is in the form of animated videos, and they can also track the training. The learners, that is the health workers, as well as their supervisors, can track the progress of the training and can take corrective actions. So that was the project that I was implementing while I enrolled in Teach to Reach level 1. Regarding my role, I am the National Program Manager for RISE project in JSI, and we were working with the development of modules, and I was supporting my state colleagues in implementation of RISE. So how did the training turn out? See, actually training was turning out nicely, but as RISE went live in last year, March, and the time coincided with the COVID pandemic. So at that time, face-to-face trainings were not possible. So there was a bit difficulty because you know that sometimes health workers are not very conversant in using the app. Sometimes, although a training was done before, but they might get stuck somewhere. So face-to-face interactions were not possible. So what happened was that at some places we found that health workers getting stuck and they were not able to go forward in absence of face-to-face interactions. So that were the challenges that we encountered during the implementation of RISE. And we actually created WhatsApp groups, block level, sub-district level WhatsApp groups to encounter that challenge. The WhatsApp group served as a three-way purpose. they were for appreciation. You can say the health workers who have completed the modules were appreciated by their supervisors, as well as the supervisors, the health workers also used to, whenever they like something about the RISE app, they used to put the messages. Secondly, it was used for troubleshooting. Like so if someone gets stuck somewhere, they can take a photo of the app and they can put in the WhatsApp group, like the course is not progressing. Then they can share the screenshot and the problem was resolved by their supervisors. Or so that led to their support, technical support to them, and they are able to move forward in their training. Also, it provided a tool for the monitoring and supervision for their supervisors. Like they can just send messages to the employee, to their learners. Their supervisors can send the message who have done well, and they can also ask them who are slow in their learning progress to complete the modules or take the modules. So WhatsApp groups worked wonderfully during the COVID time, and they helped us in the smooth implementation of the RISE. How did you apply what you learned from Teach to Reach Level 1? So that was like, see, when we were there in the ideas engine, we got a lot of ideas that what can be the challenges the health workers may be facing in the use of WhatsApp groups. They may not be able to type much. So we should try to be more proactive in understanding their problems, because we know that everyone has got a different way of understanding things. Sometimes someone is posting a message, we may call him, he may not be able to just type the right thing, that what is the problem. So the supervisor can be proactive, he can just contact that worker and he can try to solve that issue. Secondly, whenever we conducted the so in some of the blocks we conducted the training, we tried questions in the form of quizzes in WhatsApp. So we made the answers pretty simple, like they have to just type, there are 4 options A, B, C, D. So they have to type which option is correct. So just A, B, C, or D. So that makes it simple to just for the health workers to give the answer. Otherwise, typing a response may prohibit or may inhibit some of the learners to give their response. So that is what I learned from Teach to Reach Level 1 and 2, and which helped in smooth functioning of the WhatsApp groups. And what surprised me actually was the lot of how appreciation does the motivation, because I have seen that health workers were very enthusiastic in sharing their certificates, in sharing their progress. If the supervisor were putting any positive comments, then the health workers were really happy. They thought they've been appreciated. They've been appreciated in front of all their colleagues, their peers, by the supervisors. So actually, that motivation, even for someone who is 50, 55, 60 years old. So that I could see and I can sense someone who has done a service of 30 years, 35 years, he still is very motivated. We even got the request from some of the people who have retired, who have actually done their service, they've retired. We got the request that, okay, please let us take the RISE training. We have heard that it is wonderful. We want to take that. So that indicates the level of enthusiasm one gets after getting appreciation in the form of certificates or in the form of positive responses from their supervisors. So that was the experience that I wanted to share. I've tried to keep it short.
Thank you, Dr. Rajat. So motivation is really important in everything. Being acknowledged that you've done something is most also important. Okay. Francisca is asking a question that, do you have a toll-free channel feedback? Sorry. For feedback from staff or the community? Do you have a toll-free channel for feedback from your staff or the community?
Yeah. So I think that he meant that the health workers who are actually using the RISE app, how can we give the feedback? So there is a feature on the feedback that just after completing the course, there are certain parameters on which the health worker can give the feedback in the form of stars. Like We hire Ola, we can give the rating from 1 to 5 star. So in the same way, health workers can give the rating. Secondly, there is a comment section also. So whatever they comment, they feel about the training, they can communicate through the app. Also, there are WhatsApp groups and other channels through which we can get the feedback.
Okay. So basically, the WhatsApp group also help you in training them, and the WhatsApp groups also help you in getting the feedbacks from them too. You can also assess them as to how they are applying and how they are understanding what you are training them on using the social media platform, which you say the WhatsApp group, right?
Yeah, because as you know that during the COVID, face-to-face interactions are difficult. So if someone is using the app, he gets stuck somewhere, then he can post a screenshot where he is stuck, and he can ask the query in the WhatsApp group, and that can be resolved by the supervisor. Similarly, supervisor can appreciate those who have taken the course, and also to those who are slow in their learning progress, he can instruct. So the same WhatsApp group. So WhatsApp communication can be in the form of appreciation, or in the form of troubleshooting, or in the form of monitoring and supervision.
That is very great. So thank you so much, Dr. Raj. Thank you.
Thank you.
Since here, and we've learned so much from what you are saying. Most training stopped, or it came to a halt. It had to pause because of this COVID-19. Now you've also given us another channel using the WhatsApp group to perform all the same function. And I think all of us here will learn it, and then we will try to implement it one way or the other in our teaching or our training sessions as we move forward. Thank you so much, Dr. Rajat, Mr. Emmanuel Musa, and Chika. We've really learned a lot from you. Ian and Tiffany, please, any comments?
Thank you, Dr. Susanna, and thank you, as you've said, to everyone who's presented. And I'm sorry, I know there's a number of people who would love to share their experiences. Unfortunately, we're out of time for this session. We've got 10 minutes of networking time, and then another session starts again at the top of the hour. So unfortunately, we're not going to manage that time today. But we will find through the Geneva Learning Foundation, there will be other opportunities to share your experience of Teach to Reach, and indeed of your wider work. So I'd like to thank everyone who's participated, particularly Susanna for chairing the session, and Dr. Tanushree for taking notes for us, and to everyone who's spoken, and wish you the afternoon and evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Susanna, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for joining the session. Bye-bye to everyone.